What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of the Bottom Line on Sports. He's Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor, and this is our show about the intersection between sports and money. Now, y'all know how we get down. We like to start every show with a number. This week's number, 200K and
Mm.
growing. And that, my friends, can you believe this? Floyd Money Mayweather wrote a hot check. Now, first of all, I didn't even know people wrote checks anymore. But he
Right.
wrote a hot check for 200K for some Rolex watches. And this to me is a sign that the end is near for Floyd.
It is for a guy who touts himself as Floyd, as you said, Floyd Money Mayweather. This is just it's sad considering how much money this guy made in his career, and now he's floating bad checks out there for Rolexes.
Yeah.
My goodness, it's but again it's again not it's indicative of the fact that athletes in many cases get bad advice or shouldn't or all of a sudden come into huge sums of money, don't know what to do with it.
Well, I think his runs deeper than that, man. There's always been this underlying thing, and I'm not taking shots. I'm just keeping it real. Because he got sued today. And we're taping this on Thursday.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
He got sued today for dropping out of the Tyson exhibition and something else. But I really think the issue with him is, and this has been kind of an underground current for a long time, that he's functionally illiterate. And
Is that
so,
true? Is that?
yeah.
Oh, I
And
didn't
so what
realize.
I
I
mean,
didn't.
and when I
I
say
didn't.
functionally, like, I'm sure he can read a menu, but what happens is if you have as much money coming in as he did, hundreds of millions, and you have no clue what the paperwork says, it doesn't take people who have a dishonest side to them very long to figure out that, oh, you can't understand the paperwork. So I'm just going to shift. I'm gonna make sure you get enough that you're not going to notice, but I'm gonna shift who knows how much over here to this account you're not paying attention to, or I'm gonna spend this. And so I think he got caught up in a lot of that. That's why he's talking about, he's supposed to have this much money and all of it's gone, or a big chunk of it's gone, is because I think they just stole it right out from up under him because he wasn't looking at the contracts, he wasn't reading them. And every wealthy person I know, and they're all athletes that I've covered for the most part. Although I know a couple other wealthy people who have that 8-digit wealth, and even some people who have 7, they typically have their accountants and their team, and then every once a year or so, they bring in an independent to look at,
To audit it. Yeah.
right, to make
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
that you, Mr. Smith, are doing exactly what
Yeah.
you're supposed to do. And if you're not, we caught it after year 1, not after year 5, 6, or 7. And if any accounting company ever had a problem with being audited, then they weren't worth having anyway.
Well, it's one of the rules that you should live by, which is if you're making that kind of money or you're really doing anything, signing a lease or whatever it is that you're doing, read the contract. That's the most critical piece. Read the contract. Read whatever deal you've signed and you've negotiated. And if he's in a position where he functionally can't do that, then he's at a tremendous disadvantage.
Yeah.
He also then probably chose, and it sounds like he did choose, just the wrong people to surround himself with. Because there's a way to mitigate that as a problem if you find people who you can trust
All right.
to help you or people that you know. But it sounds like he also didn't do that either, which
Yeah.
is which is terrible, which is it's and you see this happen over and over and over with athletes, not necessarily the functional illiterate piece, but the fact that they entrust somebody to handle their business and they're betrayed by that person.
Yeah.
And then they also, to your point, they don't audit it or check up on it, and that's a whole Ronald Reagan trust but verify quote
Yeah.
from years and years ago.
He also lives an extraordinarily flashy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would say of the athletes who are prominent, he probably has the flashiest lifestyle. And to me, now this is just me, that's always an indication of some sort of insecurity because everybody knows you're rich. You don't have to walk around with a suitcase
Right.
full of $5 million and bring out stacks of money and go, hey, look at me. I got this.
Right.
Or, have 12 Rolexes or
It's It's the
37
old,
cars.
it's the old sort of Herm Edwards quote, if you remember this. Herm Edwards tells everybody who makes money, they come into the NFL, or he advises people, or I've heard him say this. He said, just have one of everything. Have one
Yeah,
house, have one car, have one girlfriend. Just have one of everything. You don't need two or three of anything else. You just need one of everything. And I think that goes exactly to your point, which is, yeah, you got some money, you should enjoy it, but
right.
be careful with how you enjoy it. What's the difference between having one fancy car and three fancy cars? You only need one. You're only driving one at a time.
Real quick, along the same thing, I just saw today J.R. Smith, and he was doing some interview somewhere, and he was saying, and he's probably about 43, 44 now. Maybe he's a little
Is
bit
he,
older, but
is he that? Yeah, he probably is. Yeah, he's probably
and he
early
was
40s. Yeah.
literally saying, I look back now at my age and I can't believe how dumb I was. And he goes, I had 7 cars living in Cleveland. Why did I have 7 cars? He said, let alone when I was living in Cleveland, and he's like, I had a bunch of Rolexes. Like, why? And he said just what you just said right there. He literally said, I can only wear them one at a time. And he goes, I look back at how much money I wasted and I just shake my head. Now, I don't know what his situation is now, but, you know, it's, you have an opportunity to really set yourself up for life.
Yeah.
And some guys do it, but a whole lot of guys don't.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, JR is a Jersey guy, went to high school, not too far from where I live, and he's an Ohio guy. So, we're the same. I mean, I love J.R. Smith. He was one of the most entertaining players to watch.
my thing is, no, he's only 40.
He's only
So
40. Yeah.
here's the thing about Floyd Mayweather. Oh, I think this is just the beginning. You're going to be seeing a lot of stories over the next couple of years about him getting sued because even if he's got some money, it may be a situation where he's not liquid. He's got it tied up in buildings or
Of course.
cars or
Of
this or
course. Of
jewelry or whatever.
course.
Um, I thought this when it first came out, like, why is Floyd Mayweather fighting? Like, for what? And what's going to happen is that's the only way you can make money.
Hmm.
And so your debt is going to be such that 1 or 2 fights will clear it up for me and I can kind of start again or whatever. But he's now at a point where his age is such that some young whippersnapper with something to prove can catch you now where they could never catch you
Yeah.
before.
But the other thing too is that, I mean, I love boxing. Oh my God, watching a Mayweather fight is one of the most painful things to watch, So the last thing I want to do is watch a Floyd Mayweather fight, even though he's a great fighter. I just think
Right.
his style is excruciating to watch. But to watch an older, uh, to watch an older Mayweather fight, it would just be
Yeah.
brutal. Would be brutal to watch from my perspective as a fan only.
Bottom line for me, the end is near for Floyd Mayweather, and that's a sad story.
Bottom line for me, stormy weather for Floyd Mayweather. That's what's happening soon.
Oh, I like how you did
There
that.
you go. There you
Uh,
go. Yeah, I can
let's
turn
talk
those
about
phrases.
something
Yeah.
positive. They're still celebrating, drinking champagne, and popping bottles in the city. You live 15 minutes from the city, so I do see some champagne dripping, dripping.
Well, you know where I was? I was in LA this weekend. I watched the Knicks game with my two kids who are both working in LA right now. We watched the Knicks game in LA. Can you believe it? I'm in
No,
New
how
York all
was
the
it?
time, except I wasn't here for the Knicks game.
Did you guys have a good time watching it?
That was great. It was great. They're huge Knicks fans because they grew up here and they are huge Knicks fans.
All right. Now, one of my friends who's born in the city lives here. One of my best friends. He went to a Knicks bar and watched it and said it was the next best thing to being at the Garden because it was full of Knicks fans, and he said we were all acting a fool. And so, good for the Knicks.
Well, you know where we went for Mother's Day at my wife's request.
Yeah,
We
you went
went
to go watch the game.
we went to watch one of the Knicks playoff games at a bar in the East Village, which for those of you not in New York is like downtown and kind of a very it's like a great we're kind of a cool young area. We watched a Knicks game at a bar in the East Village, and this is I think the second round of the playoffs. That's what we did for Mother's Day. It was great.
Right, right.
You can't ask for more than that.
Now, when Ohio State, especially I'm trying to think. I do this. I am that guy. When Ohio State won in 2014, I went as soon as they won, and I went online and I bought a couple T-shirts and sweatshirts. I mean, sweatshirts for me.
Hmm.
Bought a couple for my son, and we had a good time. When they won this last one, I was so hyped. I think I bought a hoodie, but I also bought a jacket, and it was a nice jacket, so it wasn't over the top, but it's still a jacket though. And so I understand that Knicks fans. I mean, I spent probably. I ain't gonna lie to you. I spent probably $500 when they won the last one. I
I think
think
I did.
Knicks
I did.
fans are
I think I
spending a
did the
lot
same.
more.
Yeah, I think I did the same. I have
And here's the
sweatshirts and
thing.
hats and I have coffee mugs and everything. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
if you're not, this is just me now. At that particular time when Ohio State has won, you expect an Alabama to win it every year. And so Ohio State is always in the hunt. But Ohio State won a title in 2002, 2014, and 2000, what, 24?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I mean, that ain't like every year. So when they win it, I celebrate and indulge it and enjoy it because it happens every decade.
Hmm.
So I don't have any shame in spending some cash. But the Knicks fans are blowing everybody out the water about how much money they're spending.
Yeah. I mean, it is so Fanatics is like the big retailer, that sells a lot of, I think it's the NBA license, biggest
Yeah, and they're
licensing
good.
event.
I like Fanatics.
Yeah. And the story came out that they amount of money spent on merchandise is the most ever for a championship team. And is already, and this is a couple of days ago, had already doubled that of their best-selling NBA Finals champion, which were the Lakers in 2020. So
Wow.
this is the most, the top selling across all sports within the first 24 hours in Fanatics history. So that's remarkable.
But
And
I'm not even surprised, man, because you have an iconic franchise, you have a starved franchise base, fan base, and you have the excitement of winning a title, and you have the internet and credit cards, which just makes everything. I mean, I
well,
could do it like right now.
yeah,
I don't
right.
have to wait.
And then the television ratings for this thing were insane. They were insane. They even game five, I think at one point had 33 million viewers, which for these days is an enormous amount. That's an
Oh,
incredible number of viewers. So it is absolutely remarkable. But the merch is selling incredibly well. I think even more so than you knew it would sell well. I think to this kind of degree, I
right.
find just kind of shocking that it is like
Uh,
the best selling thing in history in terms of a championship team.
okay, and I'm curious. I don't know that you have the answer, and so I'll just ask you a personal choice.
Okay.
What is your personal merch of choice? Like Ohio State wins, you're buying what?
First thing that I buy is a hat. No question about it.
Okay, so you're a ball cap guy.
I have about 8,000 hats.
Okay,
And that's the first thing that I buy. The second thing that I buy is a t-shirt.
all
Those are the
right.
two things that I buy. How about you?
I buy a hoodie one, and then I buy another one. I am a hoodie guy. I love them. I probably have I probably have about 10 to 12 Ohio State hoodies. Some of them are zipped up, some are pullover. Most of, I mean, they got red, they got black. I got them in every color you can name. I just like hoodies, in part because I go work out in the morning, and whether it's the wintertime or even now, when it's summer, it's still 60 degrees when I leave the house in the morning. So putting a hoodie on is not a problem. So I get enough wear out of it, and I like the zip up hoodies too. So they don't have to be pullovers. So I like them because they're functional and flexible, and
Yeah, I hear
I
you.
can never have enough hoodies.
I hear you. I tend to wear I don't wear hoodies very often. I wear the crew neck sweatshirt. In fact, I'm wearing a USC Trojans
Yes, I
crew,
saw that. I noticed
crew
that.
neck sweatshirt. Yeah, which by the way I bought on Fanatics. And I love the USC merch. I think it's like the greatest merch. I like the colors, I like the styles, everything about it. I think it's great. And my
Um,
daughter goes to USC, which is why I can wear it.
I'm not opposed to SC. Matter of fact, I had some SC gear at a certain point for that reason. I like the Trojan, I like the colors, but at some point I felt like I was cheating on Ohio State um,
I can get away with it because
because they
my
were
daughter goes here.
competitive.
Yeah.
Like I used to like TCU stuff because they were black and purple. And I like that. And then I really used to like Carolina stuff was my favorite because I like
Oh,
Carolina
I
blue.
hate Carolina stuff. You know that. So
Well,
yeah,
you're a Dookie, but
yeah.
yeah, but the color scheme I love, and so I could live with them because they weren't a football school, so I didn't feel bad wearing
That
Carolina
makes
stuff.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can't. I would still. So even though I went to both Duke and Ohio State, if Ohio State played Duke in basketball, I would still root for Ohio State. Not even. It wouldn't even be. I
It's
wouldn't
not
even
even
think.
yeah, you're not even
I
torn
wouldn't even
about
think
it.
twice about it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But
So
see, I think that's good. I think undergrad, if you went to a real undergrad, where undergrad that played, Division I, Power 5 sports or
right,
Power 4
right.
sports, I think that's really who you are. And then
100% agreement. Yeah.
And then if you go to graduate school, if they got a good program, well, you can cheer for them too. But undergrad is where you go, you're drinking beer with your boys
Yeah, it's not
or
the
your
same. It's
girls. It's
undergrad's
your
totally.
people,
Yeah. Well, it's not only undergrad, but I grew up in Columbus, so I've been
right?
inundated with this since I was 5 years old. And we'll talk later. This is a preview of our Ohio State segment later. We're going to talk later about the best running backs in Ohio State history because we talked about the best receivers last week.
Right?
So
Since the Archie Griffin era.
yeah, since Archie Griffin, which was
So
74,
no Hopalong
75.
Cassidy, no Vic Janowitz, okay?
Oh no, okay, no Vic Janowitz. All right, let me get okay.
Hey, while we take a very brief break, remember, let me get my words right. Remember to subscribe, rate, review. We can always use your help. 5 stars only. Just give us 4 stars. We may send somebody to your crib. I'm just saying.
So you looking at Knicks merch, it's selling incredibly well. I think it'll continue to sell well. Do the Knicks repeat next year?
No, but I mean, I don't think there's any great shame in that. I think the
Do they win
Knicks
the
is,
East?
it's. I'm going to pull my football card. It's way too early to say. We haven't even had, I mean, people are betting on it now. I would, uh, I would say no, but that's just because we haven't had a repeat
If
champion
you
in
had to
that
bet
years.
$100 today, and you got let's say I give you 10 to 1, you know, to pick the NBA Finals matchup next year, who would you pick? Right? Just
Right
you
now,
had it, you got 10 whatever you got. You had to bet $100.
yeah,
What
I
would you
would.
bet on?
Boston and San Antonio,
Interesting.
and it's not that I just think it's. Here's the deal, and this is why, to me, especially for the Knicks, it's going to be hard to repeat. For the next, let's see, they go to training camp in September, July, August. So for the next 3 months, half of this month, half of September, they're going to be told how wonderful they are, how great they are, champagne and caviar wherever they go. And when they start off training camp next year, their bellies will be full. There's not this we got to get it
There's no
for the
hunger.
city. It's
There's
been
not that
53
championship hunger.
years.
Yeah.
Right. Is you don't have it. You can't make it up. And not only that, the thing that comes along with expectations from fans and from media, all of a sudden now is you're the champ. So now you get everybody's best game. You weren't getting everybody's best game this year. You just weren't because you weren't the champs. Now the champs are coming to town. You get everybody's best game, and they'll still win a lot of games. But that's a lot to carry to me, and so that just makes it hard. Doesn't mean they can't do it. Just means it's hard. And I don't think they're a great team. Meaning they're a great team, but it's not like they got Shaq and Kobe. They got Jalen Brunson, and as good as Jalen Brunson is, to me, he's still an outlier. So can he continue to be Mr. Fourth Quarter, Mr. Clutch, Mr. This, Mr. That? I hope so. But
I heard somebody, and this is not I forget who said this. Somebody compared Jalen Brunson to Russell Wilson. And I thought that was a pretty good comparison. So Russell
Yeah.
Wilson had this incredible year, and they almost repeated the second year, but he had this incredible year, but he had an incredible team behind him. He was an outlier in terms of size. Same with Jalen Brunson. It's a
And see, when
pretty
I
pretty good
say,
analogy. It wasn't mine. I forget who said it.
no, I heard the same thing. When I say they don't have a great team, what I mean is, like, I was going over this with one of my friends who's a Knicks fan. He's like, yeah, Carl Anthony Towns, he's great. I said, no, he's not. I said, he scored 2 points in the last game, dog. That's not great. He's a really good player, but he disappeared the last 2 games.
He did.
I go, so they don't have that. Jalen Brunson is that dude.
He is.
But the other guys, they come and they go, and that makes them vulnerable. OG looked like is that his name? OG?
OG Anunoby from
Yeah,
Indiana. Yeah.
Anunoby. I didn't know he went to Indiana.
Yeah.
But, he was quiet early in the series and showed up late in the series. And so, Josh Hart is a glue guy, a character guy, a role player. And so that makes for a very good team. And sometimes the team is good enough. But, typically in the NBA, you need stars to win.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of an outlier team that won. And so good for them. Their task is to see if they can do it again. The good thing is, Jalen Brunson's amazing. That's really the only words you can say for it because he's got a unique, herky-jerky game that allows him at 6'1" to go in the lane and create. And, for me, man, every championship team, you got to have that dude who's not afraid of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, the best point somebody made about the championship series? I thought this was the best point I heard. They said the Knicks at winning time, last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, the Knicks know exactly what to do with the ball. Get it to Jalen Brunson and let him create either a bucket
Mm-hmm.
or he'll drive
Mm-hmm.
and kick it to you, and we hope you make the shot.
Mm-hmm.
They know exactly what they're doing at winning time. The Spurs were like, hey, I'm Dylan Harper. Am I supposed to do it? Or is Wemby supposed to do it? Is Castle supposed to do it?
Yeah.
Which one of us is supposed to get down
Well,
and get off?
right. Well,
And that's the problem with being young.
but I thought the only player who wasn't scared of the moment was Dylan Harper, who's 20 years old. You know,
Yeah, I
so
don't think he was scared.
no, I think he was.
And
And
see, I don't think any of them were scared. I think it was just
I do.
indecision because they
Oh,
hadn't done
oh,
it.
oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like, check this out. Like when LeBron and Dwayne Wade first got together in the Heat, it was at the end of the game. I don't want to piss you off, so should I
Right,
take it? Should we
right,
take turns doing it? And then finally, they just say, "Hey, LeBron, just do what you do, man. And by doing what you do, you'll create it for me if it's not there for you."
mm-hmm.
Which it took them time to figure that out. That's why they
Yeah,
lost to the Mavericks in the first
yeah,
year.
yeah.
And then after that, you couldn't deal with them. And so I think the same thing with the Spurs. They'll now figure out what to do because the Knicks, their greatest strength was they knew exactly what to do at winning time. Give it to Brunson
Yeah.
and get out the way.
Yeah, no. The Spurs clearly had more talent and better players. And if they age a year, they'll do better. I still think OKC is going to win next year.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to
yeah.
that.
I still think OKC. And out of the East, I think we're going to have a surprise team in the East next year.
Detroit.
Detroit, maybe. I wouldn't count out Indiana because they've got Halliburton coming back. Telling you, I'm telling you that he's one of those guys. It's about who can be the guy in the playoffs, and he can. He's one of the only guys in the East who can do that.
I
Yeah.
don't trust the Sixers' health. Otherwise, I'd say the Sixers, but I don't trust them. And I think if Boston keeps their team together, they got 2 stars.
They can't win. They can't win again with Brown and Tatum. They're not. That's not going to happen. So I think they'll trade Jaylen Brown for somebody, and I hope they get Giannis. It looks like Miami might get Giannis, but that's the big rumor now is Giannis to the
Yeah, I think he's to one of those two teams.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But I hope he goes to the Celtics because I think if he goes to the Heat, it'll be like he's on the Bucks. It'll be a really good player on a team with, that doesn't have enough support for him. But
Yeah.
if I had a bet next year, if I would agree with you on Boston. I would say Boston OKC next year is what I would say.
I'd be fine with that. I like the NBA. NBA's got a lot of storylines. They got a lot
That's
of
good.
interesting, intriguing teams, and I thought the playoffs were fun for the most part.
All right.
I think Oklahoma City is going to be and San Antonio is going to be a great rivalry for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And then we'll see how the rivalries develop in the East. Whether the Knicks can be more than a one hitter quitter, um, or what's going to happen with them.
Yeah. Well, the
Bottom
Knicks.
line, huh?
But the Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and they made it this year. So I think they're definitely be in the mix next year for sure.
Oh, no doubt they'll be in the mix. It'll just be can they get over the hump?
I don't know.
And again, they got a guy who they know can deliver at the clutch,
Hmm.
and that's hard to do in the NBA.
It's
Once you
agreed.
get that guy, if you got a guy who can win it, that's what made the Mavericks so dangerous when they went to the finals with Luka 2 years ago. You can do whatever you want to, man.
Hmm.
They know exactly what to do with the ball at the end of the game,
Hmm.
and Luka can either bust you himself or create a wide open shot. It's just a matter of whether you hit it or not. Because it's
Hmm.
gonna be wide open. It's just a matter of whether you hit it or not.
Hmm.
And when you got those kind of creators like him and Brunson and a few others, I mean, you're really just at the mercy of whether they make the shot or miss the
Hmm.
shot.
I agree. All right. So what's the bottom line? Knicks merchandise for you.
Get a Knicks sweatshirt. It'll last you longer than a ball cap.
Yeah. Bottom line for me. When you have a big event, you can still get a huge number of people to watch it. And when you get a huge number of people to watch it, you got a huge number of people buying the merch.
Um, as we move on to the next step, I find this interesting because both our kids played youth sports. Yours played basketball. Mine actually ended up playing 3 years of AAU basketball. He spent most of his time playing football. And while we spent money, it's really funny, and it was money well spent because let me tell you something, man. My kid always loves this is the snapshot of my kid when it came to athletics. Always loved sports, always loved playing, chubby, borderline fat, unathletic, but a grinder.
Hmm.
Like if you told him, "Hey, this is what we need to do to get you better," he'd be like, "Okay." Even if he didn't really want to go, he'd go and do it. And so, man, going into his junior year, because I used to take pictures and do videos and stuff. I went back and found some video of the first time he did one of those drills in football where you go up and go up and come back and
Yeah, yeah,
back
yeah,
forward, back
yeah.
forward. I showed it from like the fifth grade and showed it when he was like a junior in high school, and it was like two different humans. And that to me was the beauty of whatever money I spent trying to get him in training and trying to get him to be a better athlete. Because sometimes, and for me, sometimes it's not like this for everybody. Sometimes your kids will do just as much for you as they'll do for a trainer. And sometimes they moan and groan and cry if you're pushing them. And when you say, "Hey, here's Coach Pink over here for $20 an hour," they go, "Oh, yes, sir, Coach Pink. Whatever you say, Coach Pink." Like I just tried to get you to do this yesterday, and you went crying to your mama. I was being too hard on you. So he was a Coach Pink kind of guy, and so so we spent some money like that. But I never felt like I was spending a ton of money, and I always saw results, and so I didn't mind it as long as he was really active and into whatever I was spending money on.
Yeah, we were similar. I just had a rule with our kids, which was
Yeah,
if you are on a team, you got to show up for practice. You can't like, oh, I don't feel like going. Or if you're on a team, you got to show up for the games. You just got to be just almost as not as a lesson, but almost as like, look, when you do something, you do it. You don't do it
bro.
halfway, you know?
That first time he had to miss trick or treating for football practice.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. But what I think what so we spent money on it. My kids were pretty decent players. Um, we didn't spend crazy money, but we spent money on it. But they went to everything. They also played all the time. They didn't really sit on the bench a lot, and that's also
Right.
helpful. Um, and I also think there's something great about being involved in a sport, and being involved in a team and all of that. But what I think is both of my kids tell me, which I think is sort of a byproduct and something I was anticipating is they both really credit playing basketball as really helping develop who they are because it was not like around it wasn't around the area where we live. They play with kids from all these different places. They went and met all these kids from different places. They
Right.
have friends from all over the place now, and they really think it shaped a lot of who they are. Because of and we were like, I would sometimes go to the games and I sometimes wouldn't. So we would sometimes, like, my daughter was playing on a pretty decent AAU team where we would she would go into her coach was a fantastic coach, one of these guys. But
Right.
he was, it was her and, like, six kids, four boys and two girls, loaded up in his truck. He's a 6'7" former, probably 6'7", got to be 350. Former. I think he played in Europe or he played professionally. Big Jamaican dude with long braids. We were just like, just go with him. And she would go with him, and we would be, I would be, because I had to travel a lot for the weekends for a lot of when I worked, and my wife would have to be with our son, and we knew the coach was named Ozzy, and we knew Ozzy really well. So, Karina, just go with Ozzy and just hang out with him, and we'll go to some of your games. Um, but it was things like that they credit for how they've developed. But what I would say is one of the things we were talking about what for this is that you sent me a text or a story that showed the average person is spending the average family spending like $1,000 on youth sports a year. That's crazy. That's a lot of money for a lot of people. And it's largely to chase a dream. And I can tell you right now, my kids were good basketball players. My kids were never going to play Division 1, and they were better than most players, and they're never going to play Division 1.
You want me to tell you the thing? Okay, check this out. The thing that most parents don't understand is that to play college athletics, for the most part, yeah, you have to be talented. But if you don't fit the height, weight
It
requirements,
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like there's an occasional Jalen Brunson outlier,
Mm.
but for the most part, if you don't fit, if your kid plays linebacker and he's not 6'2", 230 in high school, I don't care if he's getting 190 tackles a game. He's not going to play.
Now, did you know that Aiden played AAU basketball on the same team as Cody Simon for a while?
Why do I know Cody Simon?
He was a linebacker for Ohio State when you said linebacker.
Oh,
Yeah. He's now a linebacker for the Cardinals and
is that right?
yeah.
How big is he?
I think the reason you said it, I think he's exactly that size,
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
there's just measurables. Like I had a
yeah.
friend of mine. He's an acquaintance. Great guy. He sent me a text the other day. Hey, can you like my daughter's post on Twitter because she's starting her recruiting journey? And I liked it because I'm a nice guy. But your post has zero to do.
That's
My
right.
post,
That's
your
right.
post, anybody's post. Now,
Right.
highlight might grab some attention. A post has nothing to do with whether you get a scholarship or not. And what your mother, my mother, what every coach will tell you is if you can play at an elite level, they'll find you. Trust me, they'll
No
find
question.
you.
No
You
question.
ain't got to go look for them.
No
They
question.
will. And think about all the guys on college that come from some little small town, and you're like, well, that's the only. I mean, for lack of a better example, let's use Troy Aikman from Henrietta, Oklahoma. Hey, check this out, people. There's been one professional athlete. I'm serious, from Henrietta,
Right. Right.
Oklahoma,
Of course.
in 40
Of
years.
course. Yeah.
There's been like 3 or 4 Division 1 scholarship athletes from Henrietta in 4 or 5 years. I mean, in 40 or 50 years, because that's not what those kids are. And
Yeah.
so, if you become a star at Henrietta High School in nowhere, Oklahoma, they'll find you.
Right. But by the same token, it's you see a lot of parents out there whose kids have no chance at playing Division 1 basketball, and a lot of it's changed a little bit, but because the goal was always to get your kid a college scholarship. Now it's, oh, maybe I can get NIL money too, but it's still largely to get. It doesn't really shrink. It doesn't really change the universe of kids who are going to become D1 players.
Here's a question: Did you have a goal for your kids?
I thought no, I thought they needed to figure it out on their own. If they wanted to play, at a higher level, they had to say they wanted to pursue it on their own. I would say that it's like anything else. It's like with our kids or any employee, I would try to put them in a position to succeed. And I would say, if you really want to pursue basketball, you got to play with players who are like better than you. You got to play against players who are better than you. So that's how you get better. So if you want to do that, I'm happy to support that. If you don't, that's also okay. You know?
Yeah, I was always just about, and that's why I said we worked a lot with trainers because just be the best athlete you can be,
Hmm.
and if you're willing to grind, I mean, I don't know how good you'll be. I just know you'll be the best you can be,
Yeah.
and whatever that is, they'll be fine.
Yeah,
Uh,
but a lot of it is there's a lot of kids with a lot of talent,
yeah,
but there's very few who are going to really work at it. One of my daughter's friends, she played basketball with a couple of girls who were really, really great players. Like the three of them were really, really great players when they were young. And Karina played, she did pretty well in high school. She was a 1,000 point scorer in high school. One of her friends was like practicing all the time. And she's really good, I mean, very good athlete, great player. But she practiced and she pursued it, and that's what she liked. And she ended up playing D1. And then there was another one of her friends who was just a phenomenal athlete. She was a great high school player, but she didn't, she just played because she was a great athlete and she liked it. But had any number her and other my son's friends or whoever, had they grinded it out, some of them probably could have made it to the next level. But the reality is you still need the size, especially in basketball and football where the big money is. You just need it. Even in
yeah,
tennis now, you need size. Otherwise, you're going to get blown off the court. So
yeah,
what I did though was I would go to some of these tournaments and I would look around and I go, God, you're spending $200 or $300 you know, every other week on a hotel, and I'm going, God, your kid's never going to make it. You're doing this because you think they're going to get a scholarship. They're not. Um, and so then I started so then I started doing and then I just did an exercise today. So if the average, according to the story that you sent me, people are spending $1,000 a year on their kids for their specific youth sport. And I think it's probably a lot
right,
more in some cases, but on average it's $1,000. If you did this, if in June 1st of 2008, I just picked June because we're in June right now. If you put $1,000 into a S&P 500 ETF and you put $1,000 every June 1st from June 2008 to June 2025. And some of this has to do with timing because you bought really low at the beginning, but whatever. You would end
right,
up with about $80,000. And then I
wow,
looked at the cost of Ohio. And then if you do it based on like an 11% return, I think it's like, you can get $60,000, but whatever it is, you're going to get a lot of money, right? Then I
right,
looked at the cost of Ohio State for 4 years, room and board and tuition, and then assumed what, the average person gets 12 to $15,000 a year in financial aid. And if you had just put that $1,000 in and you sent your kid to a state school, your kid would have gone to school probably for free,
yeah,
or probably with that money, and it was the equivalent of a scholarship. So I would always be my obnoxious self and tell people who were there, I'm like, you should put this, are you putting money into a college fund for your kid? Just the $100 that you're saving for the hotel, I wouldn't do that. I'd take the $100 and put it into a fund for your kid.
yeah,
And so, it's great, and there's a huge benefit to being part of a team and traveling with a team and doing all that. I think there's a huge benefit certainly for my kids, but you have to also as a parent give that cost benefit analysis and go, if I can afford $200, $300 a month on a hotel to travel with my kid, maybe I should also put 200 to $300 in a college fund for him because that might be
yeah.
long term, and invest it. That might be long term better. But
Yeah, I think the
you know
biggest problem with youth sports is what you allude to. The biggest problem is not the kids. It's not even the money that you spend. It's when you spend the money thinking that your kid is going to be some hotshot superstar athlete, because the number of kids who make it are so small.
well,
And when you see those kids who are elite Division 1 athletes, you have to take a reality check and go like, oh, so that's what they look like. All right, my kid's probably not there.
well, you know. I played in a league at Duke. It was a great league. We played in a league as a graduate school league, and there were a lot of former Division One athletes in graduate school at Duke, right? And we had a league where you put like two Division One athletes per team, and then
Okay.
they would draft like they draft the lousy players like me, and then have a
Right.
draft in every round, right? And I remember playing against Division One players, and I was a relatively decent player. They're so much better than me. And I remember I was playing a game and I had a really good first half. And I scored like 20 points or 15 points or something in the first half. And then they decided to put a Division One player on me in the second half, right?
Yes.
I shook him the first time, shot a three and missed it. Jacques, I didn't touch the ball the rest of the game. I couldn't move. I mean, he was so much better than me. I couldn't move, you know? And it's just it's such a reality. And you know what? He wasn't even a very good Division One player. And he
Yeah.
was so much better than me.
It's even like that once you're depending on what kind of athlete you are, once your kids move up to AAU and they turn 13, 14, and they're really practicing their handles, and even then it be your own kids or the kids that they grew up with playing, and you just go, "Oh, I think they've already surpassed me."
Right, right.
And so
The other thing with youth sports is, and this is particularly for boys, is that the boys who are good at age 8, 9, 10, and 11 will still be good when they're older, but the best kids generally are the ones who start to get better when they're 13, 14, 15. You know, just
yeah,
because they get taller, they get more coordinated, whatever it is, and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a very different when
Now,
you see it. Yeah,
I think thing about youth sports is you just got to keep a handle on it. And the hardest thing, man, is to be honest about what kind of talent your kid has.
yeah.
The funniest thing on Twitter right now, to me, Twitter, which is a cesspool for evil, but there are some funny pockets in there. I don't even know what this guy's Twitter handle is. I should go find it. His whole bit is text messages to a youth coach. So he reads text
Oh, that's
messages
so funny. Yeah,
that I don't know whether they're real or not.
right.
What happens is he's probably gotten it now so that people are just sending them all to him. And these letters that these parents send are insane. Hey, I know you won the district championship today and we won by 30, but my kid only played 7 minutes. Can you explain why he didn't play more? I know he's one of the best players on the team. And I'm just like, no, I bet he's not.
You know what I think is really good. One of our friends here is a high school track coach. He's an excellent high school track coach. And he says when he talks to parents, he says the following, and this is, unique to track. Well, not unique to track, but it's helpful for
Right.
track. He says, okay, here are the times that people ran. Your son ran the fourth fastest time, and I can run the top three. Tell me what I should do. And so it's very objective and it's sports that are more subjective that it's a lot.
Oh yeah.
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 So what's the bottom line for you on the
Bottom
youth
line for
sports
me,
spending?
man, is keep a handle on youth sports. Have fun, but don't go crazy.
Bottom line for me on youth sports is as follows. Assume your kid's not going to make D1 and assume they're not going to get a college scholarship. Every dollar that you spend on travel sports, you should put an equivalent dollar into a 529 plan. That's what I would say. If you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, put at least half of what you spend on that. But make it a priority to, if the goal is to get your kid a college scholarship, your concurrent goal you should try to figure out how do you pay for college without that scholarship. And that's what I would suggest happens.
That works for me.
Yeah,
I tried to keep it under wraps for my kid and his deal. So let's go to the favorite topic of the week concerning Ohio State. Now you pulled this one at the last minute
I did.
about
We did receivers last week.
and so now you want to talk about the best running backs since Archie Griffin for Ohio State. Now this is not going to be simply who had the most yards or whatever. And I'm not even And I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't see Archie Griffin play, and I didn't grow up in Columbus, so it's not like I
Yeah,
grew up
I saw him play. Archie
watching his
Griffin was,
highlights.
yeah, yeah.
So that being said, we're going to start and go backwards from 5 to 1.
Okay, what do you got? Let's see. All right, let me. I didn't write. I know who mine are.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
going to start with this may be a bit of a shocker to you at number 5. Let me make sure I got this order right.
okay,
Uh, I'm probably going to get yelled at, but it be what it be, man.
okay.
Number 5 for me, Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George.
Oh wow, wow. Okay, okay.
Now that's because Eddie George, while he won the Heisman, is a tremendous run player. Even at Ohio State, he was still the big, bruising, not flashy, breakaway kind of guy, and so that's why he's my boy. I mean, I get a bro hug every time I see him,
Uh-huh.
but he's still number 5 for me.
Wow, wow. Okay, who do you got? Who do you have as four?
No, we should go with your 5.
Okay, my five. This is a very controversial one. Is Maurice Claret.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Did he play 1 year or
played
2?
1 year. He
I
they
mean, it was
won
a
the
hell of a
national.
year now.
They won the national title. He was by far the most talented player. He's the reason they won a national title. And as you said earlier in the show, three national titles in the 2000s. Maurice Claret was the reason why.
I'm,
One of the best, most exciting backs at Ohio State for
I'm
the last
not going to. I'm not going
50
to
years.
complain about that at all.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me, and he could have been higher, but I just couldn't. I thought he may be underrated. I don't know. I'll judge from your reaction. Number 4 for me, J.K. Dobbins.
That's who I have as number four. Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins was one bad 12 at a cuff.
He's the single season yardage record holder at Ohio State.
No, but I mean that dude was phenomenal, and
He
he's from a
was,
little old bitty town in Texas.
I got to tell you, I thought about pushing him higher,
That's I
but
said. I mean,
yeah,
I
I
thought
know.
about putting him higher.
Yeah, me too. I thought about him higher,
He's
but I don't.
phenomenal.
I
He's
have him at four.
phenomenal.
All right, who do you have at three?
Arch.
Who?
Archie Griffin.
Oh, Archie Griffin. Oh, okay.
I have him number 3 out of respect. Um,
Oh,
you know,
okay. Sorry. If that's the case, then okay. Um, I would have. Okay, I didn't realize we're having Archie number one. Okay, I did five after Archie. Okay.
oh, okay.
Um, okay. So I would still have Dobbins at four. I wouldn't have Maurice Claret. I would have Keith Byers at five.
Really?
Yeah. I'd have Keith
Wow.
Byers at five, Dobbins at four. So Claret's off my list if Archie's one.
Right.
So I have Byers at five, Dobbins at four.
All right. I
So
got Archie at 3. I think a
wow.
lot of that was you know what? I said I'm disrespecting him, and I'm not trying to. It feels a lot of like what people would say about Emmitt Smith. He's an outstanding runner and had the best offensive line, and they didn't throw the ball, and it was his world. Everything was built for him,
Right. Well, that's
and then
true.
he took advantage of it.
That's true.
So this is no shade, no shade.
Yeah. So okay. So let's recap here. You've got who you have at five? You have
Eddie George,
Eddie George at five, J.K. Dobbins at four, Archie Griffin
Archie
at three.
Griffin at 3.
I have Keith Byers at five, J.K. Dobbins at four. I have Eddie George at three.
All right. Number 2. This was a tough one for me, but he was either going to be 1 or he was going to be 2. And it just so happened that any thoughts I had, I saw some highlights on Twitter this morning, and I was just like, oh my God. Zeke Elliott, number
I have
2.
Zeke. I have Zeke at two also.
I mean, if you go back and look at them highlights from the Alabama game when they beat them in the
Oh
semifinals,
my God.
I'm not just talking about 85 yards through the heart of the South. I'm talking about that one where he took the pitch and on the sideline, he just hurdled somebody and went 50 yards.
Yeah. You forget just the explosiveness of
Man.
he was.
And then he did that same thing his first 4 years in the NFL.
Mhm.
And then he fell off a cliff. But those first 4 years in the NFL and those first 2 years,
I was going to say his rookie season in the NFL
he was
was
untouchable.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
Nah.
All
So
right,
two is Zeke Elliott for me.
I have Zeke at number two also. And who do you have at one?
You're going to be shocked and surprised. Keith Byers.
Oh, you do have Keith Byers at one.
1,700 yards at 6'2" and 250.
I love watching Keith
74
Byers.
yards against Illinois with one shoe.
I know Keith Byers was well. Okay, Keith Byers was at Ohio State the same time I was.
Yeah, he was there
he's
my freshman year.
yeah, and so he was 83, 80, 45, something like that, right? Something
And
I
then
don't
he
know
was hurt he was hurt my freshman year.
yeah,
And so he didn't play.
but he broke his foot. I remember.
Right.
Right?
His
Yeah,
fifth metatarsal.
he was very even more impressive. I thought he broke his toe, but he broke his metatarsal. He was my favorite runner, my favorite guy to watch without question.
He's
He
unbelievable.
was a lefty. He threw, he threw some of the halfback options. He was a great player. He really was, and he was a bruising player too.
Yeah.
You know,
And he still had the speed to go 74 yards with one shoe.
yeah, he was great. But I have Archie at number one. I do. But again, I grew up when I was really young. I would watch Archie Griffin, and it was really exciting. And he was a great, but he's tiny back. He's tiny back. He's like 5'9". And
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, and I couldn't understand why he wasn't going to be the first pick in the NFL draft. And he didn't. I don't even know if he was in the first round. He was.
That was like a fourth rounder.
Yeah, and I couldn't. And then you saw him you saw him in the NFL, and you realized, boy, he's really small. You know, who I had the same reaction to was, and I considered putting him in the top. He wasn't in the top five, but one of the backs I considered is Beanie Wells. He's a great
Now,
back.
Benny Wells was really, really good.
Great back, but you watch him you watch him in college, he looked great. You watch him in the pros, he looked tiny.
I think Trayvon Henderson was really good, but he had 1 year his sophomore year was just kind of
Yeah.
and then he had a strong junior year. But then, Judkins, he just wasn't around enough for 1 year.
Well, Henderson, in terms of talent, I think Zeke Elliott and Henderson are the two most talented backs at Ohio State. Maybe Claret is up there too, but those two are the two just incredible talent. Both of those backs. But Judkins, the longer he's out of Ohio State, the more I appreciate him.
Oh yeah, like last year.
Yeah.
If either one of those guys had been the dude last year, I think we'd have won it because
I totally agree.
Run the ball.
I totally agree. And I was reading Ryan Day was talking specifically about what he's looking for from saying this year is he's got to make some plays with his legs, and then I read somewhere, and I remember I'm calling this as the Ohio State quarterback controversy this year with Tavian St. Clair. I read somewhere that there is thought that once St. Clair becomes a full-time Ohio State quarterback, he's being considered as a potential future number one pick. That's how, because of his size and his,
How big is he?
I think he's like 6'4", 230, almost like the perfect size, and I'm telling you, when Ohio State stumbles this year, St. Clair's going to get in the game. We're going to have a quarterback controversy this year. I'm telling you, gotta watch out for it.
I don't. I'm not disputing you. I think. Tavian St. Clair, 6'4", 230. Yep,
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yeah,
and he can probably run a little bit.
But man, I'll tell you, Keith Byers. I hadn't thought about Keith Byers for a long time until today, when I was like thinking, I was looking him up and I said, God, Keith Byers has got to be in the top, 5. And I probably had him too low.
It was either him or Zeke for me.
Yeah. I think those are great backs. And you didn't really see Archie, so it's hard to say. But yeah, Archie in college was just, and for that time, I mean, he was, running backs were everything at that, in the 70s in college football, and he was
right.
he was a great back, just a great back.
So there's to recap one more time. For me, the top 5 backs are Eddie George, J.K. Dobbins, Archie Griffin, Zeke Elliott, and at number 1, Keith Byers.
Well, we had all 5 the same as in the top.
And we didn't even plan this.
Yeah, but just different orders. I had Byers 5th, and I'm going to change my. No, I'm not. Byers 5th, J.K. Dobbins 4th, Eddie George 3rd, Zeke 2, and Archie 1 for me.
Okay. Bottom line, Ohio State will not win a championship if they don't get another running back like one of these cats to tote the rock.
But bottom
this
line for me is
season.
Bo Jackson from Ohio State will not crack this top five list. Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate you hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.